everyone, and thank you for joining us. I am Anara Tabushalieva, along with co-host Dr. Victor Fett, Dr. Katerina Shrey, and our program producer, Professor Larry Sherey. We host a weekly discussion panel on Russia's war on Ukraine with guests from Ukraine, military experts, medical personnel, academics, artists, literary figures, and relief workers. Our panel is recorded and circulated nationally and internationally. We appreciate your comments and feedback. Special thanks to Marshall University Libraries and MUIT for making this weekly event possible. If you are joining us live on Teams, please feel free to use the chat to post any questions for our guest. A quick greetings to our viewers in Ukraine from Katerina Shrey.
Вітаємо наших слухачів в Україні з глибоким покліном. Ми далі свідки вашого страшного терпіння і також вашої великої сили. Дякую вам за вашу участь в нашій тижневій програмі.
Thank you, Katerina. Today's guest will be introduced by Professor Victor Fett.
Thank you very much, Anara and Katerina. We are very delighted to welcome back an international group from the Kopilka, or Coin Bank project. Kopilka was created after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine to collect and safeguard Russophone anti-war poetry. Their collection includes over 300 poets by now from Ukraine, Russia, Belarus, and the Russophone diaspora. And this is their third time on our platform. We are honored to host this ambitious, international, and very important project. And the participants who will read their translations today are Kopilka's founding editor, Julia Nemirovskaya, translators Maria Blostein, Yana Kane, Olga Zvereva, and Dmitry Manin. And the microphone goes to Yana while I open the file that will contain the texts that will be read in original and in English.
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for inviting us and for gathering us. Actually, I'm going to pass the microphone to Yulia Nemirovskaya. She is our founding editor. She's the person who actually founded Kopilka, and I would like to pass the talking stick to her to introduce the project and introduce the rest of us. Julie, are you able to join and speak, or do you want me to do so?
We don't hear you. Julie, you're muted. Unmute yourself, please.
My technology is showing that she is not muted. There may not be a microphone.
We don't hear Julie.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so maybe let me keep going. Yulia, try figuring out which microphone you're using. We can't hear you. Nope.
Yulia, you may need to allow Microsoft Teams to use your microphone. In some systems, it works this way. While Yulia is finding the sound, I need to report that she kindly submitted an essay about Kopilka to our new anthology, The Year of Poetry 2025, which I'm publishing. I'm helping to publish in Kiev for 4th year now, an annual anthology. This one will have 120 authors from across the world in Russian language, across the world, except Russian Federation. And the Kopilka event is reviewed there, and many authors which are represented there also are in this volume. if we don't have, well,
So I think I just made it worse. I actually muted the poet Yulia Nemirovskaya, which seems like a crime.
well,
I was trying to fix it and I muted, but now you may be able to unmute.
well,
No?
mm,
Because before it didn't show that you were muted. Then I pressed something. Now you're officially muted.
okay, you're here.
No,
But
still doesn't work. Okay.
But we still don't hear you, Yulia. There's something.
Poetically unjust about this.
Well, we can.
Okay, so maybe let me jump in and start talking, and
Yes.
Yulia, if you can figure out if like where the audio controls are and select something.
You may once again,
Yes,
Yulia, you may
saying,
need
yeah, that
to
you were without.
reload and allow. You may need to go to settings and allow your system to use Microsoft Teams with the microphone, especially if you are on Apple product. I will advance this slide now.
So Victor already basically said the basics that are on this slide. I will only add that our logo, this green K, was designed by Irina Kartasheva, and this design is quite meaningful. The green color is sort of for hope and spring, and the font, the capital K, is inspired by manuscript headers that came from the Russian city of Novgorod that used to have a kind of proto-democratic government for many centuries, and we think of it as a hope of showing that democracy did flourish on the territory of what is now Russia. And it also is filled with symbols that have to do with science, but also that have to do with traditional Ukrainian embroidery patterns, in particular from the Kharkiv region. So it combines kind of many of our ideas in this logo. So let's keep going to the next slide. Victor, can you advance? Okay. So Yulia is the person who, first of all, started this project because shortly after the beginning of the war, her friends in Moscow, poets with whom she was in the Moscow Poetry Underground before the fall of Soviet Union, started on the one hand protesting, and on the other hand they were subjected to the arrest, they were threatened with arrest, and unfortunately since then we do know examples of poets who have been jailed. And so they started contacting Yulia, asking her to basically keep an archive of their poetry in case something happens to them. And then she realized the need to create such an archive, not only for her personal friends, but for others who started also hearing that she's doing this, contacting her. And so she's curating this archive. We have more than 4,000 poems now, so she selects the poems, the poets, and gradually a team of us volunteer translators formed around this project, and we work on translating them. It's an international team. You see the list of participants and their countries. Today we only have a subset of the translation team on this call. And while each text is sort of is translated, is the responsibility of a particular individual. We often workshop translations via email. Sometimes we have, long discussions. It could be one word, one line, could be discussed for days. And it's very collaborative, team-oriented approach. So let's keep going.
Yulia, do you have sound now? No, we don't hear you still.
No, okay.
Okay, we will figure out probably. Here are ontologies, please.
So Um, there are 3 anthologies that have already been published based on the work by Kopilka translators. One was actually published in France, in French, and 2 in English. One came out in 2023 in the UK, and one last year in the US. And let's keep going. We're starting work on a 3rd anthology in English. Let's advance.
One moment.
Nope. Okay. So the working title and the kind of core theme of this new anthology that we are working on is Salastalgia. And this is a concept that was formulated fairly recently by a philosopher, Glenn Albrecht, and he formulated in the context of loss of familiar environment in the ecological sense, and sort of this grief of staying in place. So it's not like nostalgia where you move away to some other place and sort of feel grief and loss about the place you left. But this is, you are physically speaking in the same spot, but everything around you is changing, and what you have loved is going away. And this is definitely something that is happening in the Russophone space, the language, the culture. There is this sense of many things dissolving, many meanings dissolving, and maybe new things replacing them, or things transforming as well. And so this anthology will feature, as the previous ones have, poets from Ukraine, from Russia, to the degree that we can do them safely. You will notice that in today's presentation, nobody who is from Russia and is alive and is still in Russia is going to be featured under their actual name, and the Russophone diaspora. So, and the idea of publishing this anthology is to capture this evolution of what's happening in the poetry, um, of people who really are being honest, who are being honorable, who are witnessing what's actually happening. We're certainly not featuring any poetry, so-called Z-space, even as it's happening. Let's keep going. Okay, and now I will pass the microphone to Maria Blastein, our first translator.
Thank you, Yana. Thank you, Victor, and thank you, MUkraine, for hosting us. We're very happy to be here. This is our 3rd time, as you mentioned. And it's wonderful to have a platform to read our translations. We obviously believe quite passionately in what we're doing, and we're very grateful to you for hosting us. I'll be reading my translation of a poem by Natalia Klucherova, who now lives in Germany. At night, there was drinking, crying, embracing, toasting the radiant Russia of the future. In the morning came the gloomy Russia of the past, leering and drooling from every news item, every hole in the body of another's home, shamelessly hoisting up a machine gun. Come daytime, the 3rd Russia woke, the most awful of all, stumbling, crawling out of the wombs of squalid homes, out of secured entryways, gulping down snow mush with its gaping boots, furiously chopping salads, scattering gray salt to swallow it all more easily. Great Russia of timelessness, how can I unsee the grave faces of your short-lived multitudes, the 4-letter words on a gray wall, the gray pasta in the school cafeteria? How to unsee this murky dream, this constant return along the endless Soviet street with a half loaf of gray bread in Grandpa's backpack? Gray cats of your basements stare at me as I pass. How can I unsee you? Thank you. I'm going to read three short poems by Sergei Leibgrad, who's now in Israel. Starting from the first. An old heart thumps like a train, weeping for its hearth and home. Dear old Pushkin snarls unashamed with wolfhound Mandelstam. An old body that dashed out the door can't see what lies at the core. Nothing makes sense in this land anymore, nor in this war. Multi-sumus, no name have I got, just turn off that lamp. Delirium's oily and black just like crude, Brent oil, delirium, brand. Second poem, На ровном месте, война на ровном месте. Out of nowhere, a war out of nowhere, a nowhere place, a scorched place, a blasted place, a ripped open place, and only the snowfall, measured, monotonous, stitches up dead bodies at the bottom of the crater out of nowhere. And the last of his poems. Whence comes this light, this glare? Snail slime is sole evidence here. I can't recall where I am, where we are, after awaking on this briny shore. Are you reflected off windscreens, on pavements scored like coffee beans, and downfalls on the scorched black lawn, Book of the Dead turned black cell phone. The next poem I'm going to be reading is by Galina Itzkovich, who lives in New York, called Facebook. Facebook has turned into a virtual ghost town. Here's a memorial to a friend who couldn't scrape enough for a VPN in Russia. There's a headstone of someone who parted ways with the Cyrillic version of his name. He's opened a new page. He's mastering another alphabet. Here are the pages of parents who first lost their son, then any trace of their son, then their faith in public opinion, which could have gotten him out of the Russia's torture chambers, but didn't, because public opinion never opened its own dedicated, clearly marked profile, because public opinion is a barren grain stalk in the wind of events and opinions orchestrated from above, because the public is a mirage in the Facebook's desert. No one mends the social networks. There's a hole in the mesh. A hole makes an exit for former friends who reneged on a dozen of personal beliefs in the space of 2 war years. Friends who agree that everything is crystal clear when it comes to the killings in Mariupol, but say that it's not so clear when it comes to the bodies in Ofakim. Friends who sign contracts with the devil in charge, or just the devil at large, who bite their tongues stiffened with fear, or else shoot off their flexible toad-like tongues fashioned by imperial tonguesmiths. No one mends the social network. There's a hole in the mesh. Fallen friends are sucked out of holes, those felled by rockets, those who fought in the doomed counter-operation, the hopeless attempt to defend their targeted homes, those designated by the now awful word mincemeat, meat grinder, or the burger maker. Should have gotten used to it over 2 years. No point turning into a crybaby now. But the most frightening holes, the most gaping holes, swallowed those who vanished from the timelines, those whose pages don't have any status updates, who have been arrested, abducted, transported, who are neither dead nor alive, to whom you can't send a care package, who aren't covered by the Geneva Convention, who chose a bad time to go out to buy aspirin, who didn't bother getting a Russian passport, who didn't leave in time, taking their private up-yours with them, who didn't abandon their old neighbor who's all alone in the world, who didn't yield to the advances of the commander of the Kadyrov's brigade, who didn't hide their joy watching a TikTok reel of a hit on the drunken crew of invaders, who didn't send their kids to be brainwashed in the schools for stench. It's frightening to run to freedom across a minefield, but it's even more frightening to live in such a field. The black holes of Facebook, a requiem of pages undeleted, full of recipes, bouquets, and glamour shots, 2 years old, posted a half a winter before my virtual friends were promoted to martyrdom. Olga, you're up next.
Yes, thank you. That's a shockingly powerful poem, I think. And it's an honor for me to read after this my translations of also extremely powerful people. And I'll start with Irina Yesa. She is a Ukrainian poet from my native city, Kharkiv, who lives in Germany now. One ended burnt alive in her own flat, asleep, holding her usual cigarette. Two others chose not to return and fled to Germany, no tears and no regret. One fought for freedom in a foreign state, bearing a grudge against his native land. Another said, "Be back," and still no trace. A third escaped to a new family. All daily chores are getting meaningless in my new life and in the lives I lived. I'm here both a defendant and a witness, like in a dumb cop series on TV. A local frozen, while a busy prophet in a cop's uniform works on his own. It is no grim and unfamiliar void. The chalk outlines of people once is gone. It's like an empty communal apartment, where alone half of it has been left behind to gaze at an old rubber-skipping rope and a tornado that can catch no butterflies. She used to smoke in this familiar armchair. He used to sprawl out on this rug to read, long time ago, when our lives weren't fractured, without the dates, with a dash in between. The next point is Stanislav Belsky, who is still in Ukraine, and he lives in Dnipro, which is under attack almost daily. I'll read a short poem, Nightmare Haiku, that shows his experience. Death is a stranger limping behind. You miss a bit, and he's here, with a sharp-toothed kiss. For a long time, waking up at night, you'd wash out your mouth with soap, trying to thwart the sorcerer war. Lena Pearson, I think that one of the most popular person to be translated in Kopilka. She lives now in Israel, and she's originally from Russia. You should have left no living trees behind. All tortured maples, all crazed linden trees will stand to testify in higher court that renders things to God that shall be God's, and scums to scum, where death feasts on the dead, and where the living celebrate the life. There is no power to your accursed law. You should have burned them, cut them, let them rot. You should have left no animals alive, no cats on hieroglyphs of ruined buildings, no dogs on the cold ashes of their home, the inner workings of their shorter lives. Yet they will come and say, "Look, here we are. You think the night is quiet in Ukraine, but we can't forget how you were killing us and others, voiceless, lost, yet unforgotten." You should have left no freedom to the dead, the final choice of their deathly posture, an arm stretched, a groan personalized, and the right leg bent, clinging still to life, with every sign to stay, to be, to lie, where death is far too imminent to call, and all the victims are no names to me. You should have left no one alive. The next is Vadim Groisman. He is a Ukrainian poet who lives now in Israel, and still he identifies himself as a poet from Kiev. There is a great mystery in shadows' eternal life. They die, and yet they revive. They stand in a labyrinth of memory as if at a parade. Messenians in their broad skirts, horsemen spreading Thessalian wings wide open, haughty black-bellied ships, their bows held high in the air. That the armor of kings. Gods are still feasting on Mount Olympus. At the right and the left have of Zeus, like the Hellenes and the Trojans. At sea we bade farewell to the last god in ancient Tyre. It could be the sly Hermes, if maybe it was Hypnos. O my Telemachus, keep Hellas in your memories. Remember this ancient theatre, and the Iliad there. What's immortality? Just a museum in Dio. Greek gods are stuck here, surrounded by Roman horses. The rest in equality with Callisis and Kiatoi. The same mundane claim keeps imprints from different epochs. Girls in slave wrecks come here to lovingly stare at what has remained of status, merely headless debris. Some unharmed, though, which makes this feel even stranger, as if a hair fell to us, shed from the mane of Astraeus. Gouge out your own eye to see yourself in Polyphemus, fighting your Charon and bargain with him for your passage. By the end of the story, a warrior in a plumed helmet is merely a bloke dressed up in a feminine gown. It might be the entrance to Hades, or the exit from the labyrinth's end. My tongue's also forked into two, bilingual. Sergei Tashevsky is a Russian poet who lives now in Germany, and he moved to Germany after Russian invasion to Ukraine. And this is his experience of a new immigrant who moved from Russia to Georgia and then to Germany. Eastern Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia. If only I were in his place, someone thought. And so he's here in my place. If only everything went back to where it once was, I will think one day. And so everything is as it used to be, a waiting crescent, the smell of an ancient river, wisteria clusters, Easter night, millions of war dead gaze through my eyes at the festive and tender city. No gunshots, no ruins. But where am I? Don't ask, they tell me. Please stop. Don't think about it. Albin Petrov, no name, is a pseudonym of a person who still lives in Russia. And I think that it is still important for some people to be heard. From the air. From the air. Do you remember the sun ripped, still bleeding, from the sick, smoky sky of February, from the sick, smoky sky of January, from the sick, smoky sky of last December, when light poured at the speed of a kibitka, that's touching swift to us from the light summer, now from the air, tried with no hope, and yet the knives of grief twist back into my stomach.
Hi, can you hear me?
Olga, we don't hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? But I think that is for
Yes.
Dmitry Money.
Yes, that's Dmitry's. And is Dmitry with us?
I am.
You are? Please show up. Thank you, Olga, very much.
I'm here. I can see myself.
Yes, we can see and hear you.
Okay.
Please. The microphone is yours, please.
Thank you. So I'll begin with...
Victor, you're still showing both your the slide and your chat, or whatever it is.
I'm sorry.
I'll begin with Roman Sminkin. He emigrated from St. Petersburg shortly after the beginning of the war, and the first poem describes the experience of immigration. We walked along the rolling sea, the two of us, or rather three. There lay a dog, a cat, and in the stroller bassinet a tot born just before the war, who seemed to sleepily adore the wind and waves of the Aegean, not missing the Neva's cool sheen. We walked along the rolling sea, all restless with anxiety. You said we experienced political depression, and I misheard it as repression, although in truth it meant so little amid our bureaucratic battles. One line to summarize a life with: we're engaged in political, feminist art and art activism. We walked along the rolling sea, ears filled with mournful poetry about the pre-war world that turned a lot quainter than the ancient Smyrna, less meaningful than plain white noise that you turn on for little boys when every other method fails. In one of seven Homer's birthplaces, we listened to muezzin chants not meant for rootless immigrants. And the second poem is kind of a grotesque. We'll see. Sunny, the years are in the fridge, blood on the table. When you're back, take the heart out of the freezer. We'll make dumplings for dinner tonight. You'll help me fold them, mold the little golems. Haha, never mind. And don't forget your lunchbox, a healthy snack of yum-yum tom thumbs. Better anyway than your fast food TikTok. It'll ruin your stomach, heartburn, gastritis. I want none of it on my hands. Look how scrawny you've gotten. You're gonna lose your pants. That's okay, we'll make another hole in your belt. Heat up an awl on a candle and burn a hole like Grandma taught us. The smell of burned leather is such a trifle compared to the belt that staves off the coming of the son of perdition. Not you, oh la la, another son, pardon my being a smart-ass. I give no advice, I just wrap you around in care until you've reached the age of majority of your self-conscious mind. So where were we? You got me carried away. What does can't have to do with it? Yet still better than the Cartesian cogito that didn't see children, animals, even women as people at all. Wait, taking animals for people? Seriously? Goodness, what baloney I'm talking. Thank you, God, that you've died. Just kidding, don't mind me. It's a reference to Nietzsche. Eat quick, you'll be late. Sonny, why is the school collecting money again? Is it for the tour of battleground memorial sites? They breeding like rabbits, can't spit without hitting some motherfucking bones. Gosh, speaking of mothers, it's me. And the moms in the school chat are so cute, so ecstatic about their kids getting to the top of some stupid ratings. But isn't it a betrayal of the Enlightenment project when humanism is supplanted by algorithm and who's gonna think about people? Sonny, what a slowpoke you are, darling. Just like that guy Oblomov. Remember that classical novel by Goncharov? No, you don't remember. Who cares about Oblomov in the 21st century? It's the age of Superman riding atomic rockets into every home. Haha, don't mind your silly mom. I'm off now. Don't forget to do the dishes. Don't leave hip-top ruins behind, my angel. Hey, can't stop spewing cultural competence. But you know, we're an intelligentsia family. When I was a kid, they lugged in a piano through the window into our Khrushchev-era apartment, packed with Russian lit floor to ceiling. Your mom is corrupted, incorrigible, but I regret nothing. When everybody around thinks in those abstract terms, the whole world is a curve of demand and supply, a coordinate grid where there's no place for depth and mediastinum, and meanwhile Cronus devours his own children, among others. He really eats children. I saw him stuffing them in his mouth. Look at me now. Imagination running, wild, blood pressure rising, heart racing. I've been binging on the news again and got carried away. But an eyewitness should mutter incomprehensibly, his syntax all awry and broken. By the way, I'm not afraid of any work. I'm ready to wash bed sores and tend to the infirm, to miscreants and evildoers, not just to saints. 'Cause for people like me, the worse it gets, the closer to the truth. Shit, I'm talking drivel. Fuck it anyway. And I want to read a poem by Anna Korshelnitska, a poet and translator, one of our Kopilka team. She's living in the USA. Akkad. And so when we talk to each other, it's words. And swishing above them are different words. In tongues obtuse, under angles extinct, like airborne bluish fish. Cats rush underfoot like small fry gnomes, their earthly drudgery metronomes. The eyes of Fresnel in lighthouses blink. I'd beat it, and you? I wish. You're lonely, my friend. It makes two of us. A dynamite-stuffed forest octopus sidles up to drink aspen honey away with your silent and sightless lips. The air is buzzed by a restless fly. Beneath brick and concrete rubble we lie and wait for no wait, we can live here no way, and practice tongue slips and thought flips. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Jana now. I will read some translations, but I also want to take a minute and introduce Bruce Esrick, who is my husband, but he's also my translator. I don't know if you can see him leaning into the camera view.
We can see him, yes.
Yes. So he doesn't always get to all my blunders. So whichever ones are left are mine. So I will start by reading translation of a poet who lives in Kharkiv, Ukraine. Actually, I think he now lives in suburb because his apartment in Kharkiv got hit by a rocket a couple of years ago and was completely incinerated. Luckily, he and his family survived. The poem is called Hearth. To fall asleep back to back with yourself, to run away from your noonday shadow, to live by stepping forward into your own footprints, to hear the tolling of John Donne, to draw a hearth on falling snow and a cup of coffee in frozen hands, to abandon this world, yet there is no other, and the one that was, war lives there now. So the next poet is Vadim Zhuk. He lived in Russia and he died in Russia in March of this year. Basically, he was hounded by Russian authority and suffered a heart attack and died. And the poem I'm going to read, I believe that was his last poem. At least I think it was the last one that he posted on Facebook. If you go to the forest this time of year, you'll be up to your waist in gray snow and scared of bears. What bears are you talking about? Besides, who needs to freeze in a ramshackle train? Let's not go anywhere. We can squeeze fresh lemon into our vodka shots, pan fry some sausage, toast some thick sliced rye. Say it like this: a wee bit of sausage, a wee bit of bread. Hear the church bell ring, stand gazing up at the sky. with its copper coin stuck motionless, yellow-red. The fingers reach for the chewed-up stylus and miss. As we roll a question around like a ball of bread, how could this come to be? How did it come to this? And the next poem is by Olga Zveryeva. So you just heard her in her capacity as a translator, but she's also a poet. And I'm going to read my translation of her poem. When we flooded our coffee with cream, sugar, cinnamon honey, and searched it for bitterness, a trace of morning bitterness. How carefree we were then, just kids. When we sat in our apartments, went out hiding from viruses and the police, how sheltered we were then, just kids. When we said screw it and walked under rockets as if they were fireworks and raised our wine glasses to the sky, how fearless we were, just kids. When we came together to mourn our own, gathering with everyone from our street, one of the few streets, how alive we still were then. Next poet, Inna Kvasivka, lives in Odessa, Ukraine. Odessa is a port city on the Black Sea. And the poem I'm going to read to you, she wrote it when the Russian Navy first started deploying floating mines to basically to blow up Ukrainian ships and stop trade. Sea of black, sea of mine, drifting sorrows, floating mines, raven waves, wings of brine, flying at the breaker line. Broad nets are cast by death, strands of seaweed woven fine. You're abandoned, you're left, nameless now, my sea of black. From your chasms, from the depths, raise them up, bring them back. Fragments of our broken boats, oar blades of our faith. The next poem is by Dmitry Bliznuk. He also lives in Kharkiv, Ukraine, and here is a photograph of Dmitry with his first recently published first book of his poetry.
Henry, you're breaking. Your signal is...
My signal is breaking. How is this?
This is better.
Okay. I'm forming a little booth for the microphone with my hand. I apologize. I am traveling and was hoping for a quiet place, but that's not didn't work out. So this poem has been published in World Poetry Review this April. Reality, like a pensive woman, winds a strand of hair round a finger. The window is streaked with rain. Seems like a bird pattern, long-legged flowing cranes. Half-broken stone cattail buildings, rotting water lily entryways. Be sure not to touch anything in this terrifying dream. Pretend you are a guest. And next poet is Alena Maksakova. She's also originally from Kharkiv, Ukraine, and she currently lives in Germany. To write a text that is real, you must be shaken to the core. Something must happen, an earthquake, a war, a tsunami, an apocalypse. An apocalypse. Not to others, not elsewhere, today, to us. At the gate stands absolute evil. But you weren't taught such truths by university profs. Now everyone reaps according to their faith. And you load your sling with your last live palimpsest and launch into the sky your last text. Next poet is Dmitry Kolomensky. He's originally from St. Petersburg, Russia, and this is a story you've heard already several times on this reading. Shortly after the war, he had to leave Russia, and he currently lives in Israel. Actually, Dmitry Kolomensky and I share a kind of poetry root. um, he, as he was a student of Vyacheslav Leikin, a wonderful poet and teacher. So we never, Kolomensky and I never met face to face because he's younger than I am. So by the time he joined that literary group, I had already left Russia. But anyway, we share that beginning. I'm going to read you my translation of his poem. War follows in my tracks. It seems to me that I, infected by its plague, exhale contagious stench. War's pus crusts my eyes, war's sweat burns on my skin. My strength is drained by war. The bleeding can't be stanched. My mouth is filled with screams. My mouth holds no voice. The useless pleas are trapped within my hollowed chest. A gloomy seraph sealed my lips, turned the lock, and went key beneath my heavy armored vest. A garden's full bloom I enter, and it's scorched. I passively keep its blasted streets full dark. These words I speak are true. War lives within me now. Don't come too close to me. I carry hellfire's spark. I'm a caved-in roof, a cloud of bread, dust, a pavement slick with blood, the storm of death. A silence in my will, a trigger's quiet clink. When I collapse, shot dead, and my own last breath, there's no escape, no rest, no shaking off this yoke, and like a faithful mate, war lives with me once more, as horror strokes my face and turns my blood to ice. Within the word for warmth, I read the word for war. The next poet is Kristina Zitunian Belarus. She was born in Russia, but I think she spent most of her childhood and certainly her adult life in France. And I will read my translation of her poem. Don't look into the eyes of monsters. They're nearly always eyeless. And even if they do have eyes, they don't see you. They see only prey, enemy, or another monster. And I will conclude with a poem by Oleg Ladizhinsky. Oleg also lives in Kharkiv, Ukraine. He is a poet and he's also a science fiction writer. And he and his friend, his co-author Dmitry Gromov, they write under a kind of combined pseudonym. They combine the letters of their names, the two names, and formed this very British-sounding name for their pseudonym, Henry Lyon Oldie. I provided the URL for their website, and you can buy their books, download them in PDF form. You can buy their books and books by other science fiction writers and poets, and they have books in English as well as in Russian and in Ukrainian. And I chose this poem because, you know, this has been, not surprisingly, a reading with many beautiful but very dark poems. But I wanted to conclude on he also sometimes writes very sad and dark poems, but he also, as many other authors that we've read today, sometimes has real bright rays of hope, and that's why I chose the next poem. I carried hope in my trembling arms, such old hope as I had found. I sank into treacherous, hungry sands. I stumbled on stony ground. Marching toward me, rank on rank, tearing up the track, they kept on coming, hop 2, 3, 4, hopelessness in their packs. The snot-filled nostril blows and blares, join us, you'll get better pay. But hope just whispers, all is not lost, and we keep going our way. Thank you.
So it's my turn again.
Yes,
Thank you.
I think we have a little bit of extra time. This is our kind of encore.
Yes, please
section.
continue. It's delightful, very dense, very tragic, and it's very tragic and dense and remarkable to have all this here at once. Dmitry, please. Evgeny Kluyev, who died this year in Denmark.
Yeah, Kluyev was an amazing person. Suffice it to say that he, being a Russian, taught, I think, Danish language to Danes in Copenhagen. He also wrote fairy tales and many other things. I'd rather have nothing at all in my language, no more. But what can I do if it's talking and talking within me? I'm Hebrew, Bengali it blabbers, I'm Pikwan, I'm Hindi, sit down with me here in the shade, I'm exhausted and sore. It mumbles incongruously. Even if you take pity, it answers with gibberish, it's neither here nor there. Embarrassed by all its noun cases, its own synthesicity, the awkward verb tenses and aspects it hardly can bear, it tries to get by with a smile, with a half-hearted chuckle. It laughs when I'm sad. When it's time for a hug, it goes gruff. It lugs everywhere an unwieldy big sack full of tackle. Its rusty antique toolkit, useless and obsolete stuff. It's longing for home, but just where home is, it can't tell. It gestures to say, if you follow this straightforward route, you will be pulled in and end up in a cell, in a well. My native, my own, my beloved, my wretched great mute. Second poem. Write what you may, it still spells terror. Write son, write mother, write whatever, write home, write street, write cemetery, write it's a complicated story or it's a really simple story, since recently all things are scary. Right, we have nothing more to lose. Right, it's all gonna be okay. Then strike it out. No use, no use. Because there isn't any way. There absolutely is no way to keep surviving day by day. You ride an airplane in the sky, and then a blast takes out your eye. You write night fell on hill and plain, and right away you go insane, though you already were insane, like life itself, an idiot saint. She sits there by the church in tatters, she cackles, medley mumbles, chatters. Dare not come close to me, she saith, don't pity me, I'm death, I'm death. And another reflexive poem. Already they tell me stop writing poems like that. We need no more, please, no more poems like that. They're scary, they're painful, they're gloomy. In this format, we need no more, really no more poems like that. Already they tell me we want a softer palette. We need no more, please, no more poems like that. We'd rather have clouds at sunset, butterflies, cats. We'd rather have cute little trinkets and quaint vignettes. We want to see light, not sins and bitter regrets. We want nothing to do with oligarchs and autocrats. So please, no more, really no more poems like that. We just don't want any more of them, poems like that. But I keep scribbling like crazy. I write more and more, tirelessly, as if racing against the war. To every shell I respond with rhymes galore. For every blast I have a chiasmus in store. So I keep scribbling like crazy. I write more and more. 100 times every day I grab my old quill and scribble away as if racing against the war. And I'll outrun the war. I know it, I will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dmitry. It was marvelous and amazing. And I think this was our last feature. And now we have time for comments, questions from the audience, and of course, some words from the translators. Thank you for this amazing treat and also actually amazing performance. There are many skills today here.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely amazing performance. And it's a very sober reminder of the role that our poets and translators and literary figures play in the cultural, spiritual, political life of a people, and then the power of poetry and how we can access parts of our souls and our minds, our understanding that other methods do not. Every single one of these poems absolutely resonated in at the cellular level, which is I know it sounds so strange to say that, but we talk about this horrible war, we talk about all this suffering that people are enduring quite often, and yet hearing these words of poetry in the hands of capable and skilled translators, it absolutely helps you experience and understand on a level that the intellect itself can't reach. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much to our poets and translators. This was absolutely spectacular. Thank you.
Yefim?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Yefim Somin.
Great. First of all, thanks very much to the organizers and the presenters for a very powerful gallery of poetry in this presentation. I also translate poetry from about a dozen languages, but rarely from Russian, actually. However, I did translate a poem from Ukrainian, and I wonder if I maybe may read that not very long poem. My translation sort of might bring actually a bit of hope to today's mood, I guess, if I may.
Please do.
Yes, okay, thank you. So this is a poem by Vlad Molodid, who lives in Kiev. He wrote it on Easter Day, in April 2022, soon after Bucha was liberated. He was part of the group who were bringing some supplies to Bucha from Kiev, and he kind of describes what he saw in Bucha on that day. It later acquired a title of Tango de Bucha. So here, I'm not going to read the original, just the translation. So I saw them tango in that danceless April in Bucha, stripped of light, deprived of power, when countless evenings rolled by like a war reel, like endless trenches, dirty, cold, and dour. I saw how he came up to her and asked her, I brought you Pascha. Tell me what is needed. Yet not a sound, not a word she uttered. Neither for bread nor skies above, she pleaded. I saw him ask her if she needed blankets, some bottled water, malva seeds, or flashlights. With knitted brow, she said, such useless trinkets would bring to this forsaken place just half-wits. She pointed through the door into the courtyard, where two tomcats, a scared mouse, were chasing. She said she had to warm them close to her heart, through long and freezing nights, them both embracing. How could he break her chain of sorrows now? What was she waiting for in this dark hour? We'll dance, she said, that tango, Bella Ciao, in danceless Bucha, stripped of light and power. Thank you.
Thank you, him. Tango de Bucha by Vlad Molodid,
In
Kiev.
He, by the way, he is engaged and at least has been engaged in delivering various life-saving supplies all over Ukraine from the beginning of this whole thing.
Yes, this name and text are well known and translated to many languages, I should add, by now.
Yes.
More comments or questions, please. We have time for anything you want to say, and please, I have comments in chat that can be also read for the record. Please raise your hand or just jump in. Yana?
I was very sorry that technical difficulties kept Yulia from sort of adding her voice, and I just want to acknowledge her role as the founder of this project. It certainly is a literary project first and foremost, but it is also became a kind of a very moving, for me at least, and I think for all of us, a very international place where people meet in a way that in some sense is very intimate. We meet through our text, through our words, and in a way that I think gives hope, because this is where people from nations that are supposed to be at each other's throat, but in reality, this is a very different situation. It's not the nations that decide to do that. Where people from these different places, from the different backgrounds, meet in this way that is very genuine. That is kind of where your soul, your words, your spirit come first, and all the rest.
I'm sorry, Yana, you muted. For some reason, we don't hear you. Yeah.
Was I muted the whole time?
No.
Okay.
Just
all
few
right.
words. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to conclude by, again, thanking Yulia especially for all this
Thank you all, and thanks, of course, to Yulia. Yulia, are you with us, or you still have no sound? Right, I see you now, but I don't hear. Thank you very much, and thank you for contributing these pages about Kopilka to the new Kiev anthology, which I am proofing right now. It has over 600 pages and 120 authors, and some of them are those translations of whom we heard today, and Olga is one of the authors as well. More questions or comments, please, from our viewers. I know it's a select group which can recognize many hidden quotes. I just wanted to quote one that jumped in everyone's eyes when Kristina Zaytunian Belarus says, "Don't look into monsters' eyes." She's referring to one of the most famous lines in Russian poetry from 100 years ago, Nikolai Gumilev's "Look into monsters' eyes." And that's what has been happening many times before us and in our memory, and that's what bold poets of today and their translators are doing right now. Thank you all very much. If we don't have any more comments, I will ask Dr. Katerina Shrey to conclude our meeting with our customary words.
Дорогі браття і сестри в Україні, ми зберігаємо вас у наших щоденних думках і молитвах. Нехай милосердний Бог тримає вас у своїй опіці. До наступного тижня прощаємося.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!